Ambassador, in a fragile time like this, how do you not go back to open warfare?
Well, unfortunately, since 9/11, I think the West is being forced to rewrite the book of rules of how you fight terrorism, because the old assumption that both sides are interested in the preservation of life is no longer valid. You're dealing with an enemy that is not interested in preserving his own life. In fact, they're interested in taking you with them in the process. So what do? And we believe that you have to deprive them of the capabilities to carry out the attack. You have to deprive them of the opportunity and, of course, if possible, of the motivation. It's very, very difficult. It's a monumental task.
Are you getting enough support from the U.S. in doing this?
Well, you know, our Prime Minister said it openly, our Minister of Defense, our Minister of Foreign Affairs. The relationship between the two countries, especially the relationship between the security establishments, never been better, never been deeper, never been wider.
You know, with allies in mind, India has openly boosted its ties with Israel. How important is it for nations in this whole surrounding area really to step up and to voice their support of you?
I think, well, India is certainly doing the right thing. We are facing the same threat posed by radical militants, both in India and in Israel and throughout the region. They're doing the right thing because ultimately, in order for us to succeed in this war against terrorism, we have to be together. We have to unite, and I think what you see coming from India is the right direction.
Let me ask you about Sweden, which recently announced that it is going to be recognizing the Palestinian state. I actually am speaking exclusively with the Prime Minister of Sweden tomorrow morning in his first visit to the United States. I'm curious to get your response to what Sweden has said and the concern that there might be more European states that are looking to recognize Palestinian states.
Two things to be said about this. The first is the Palestinians are dangerously falling in love with public relations. They are trying to do something that they did in 1988 with no success. In 1988, tens of countries recognized the so-called Palestinian statehood. The second thing, what Sweden did, big mistake. Why is it a big mistake? Because in a way, they're allowing the Palestinians to avoid the one and only thing that would grant them a Palestinian state, and that is direct negotiations with Israel. If you're a Palestinian and you're being told by the international community, skip the negotiations with your counterpart, come to us, we'll grant you what you want. Of course, it's a huge temptation, and that's exactly what they're doing. There is no need for any other player in the international arena to engage the Palestinians in such a way. The only way the Palestinians are going to have independence is by directly negotiating with us. Every inch of progress that was achieved over the years, and significant progress was achieved through direct negotiations. The road to peace goes through Jerusalem, not through Sweden.
What about through France? I mean, France is now talking of potentially following Sweden's path.
Well, some countries, depends on the levels. In some countries, it's a parliamentarian decision, which is largely symbolic. And, you know, I said before, we've seen it before. In 1988, tens of countries participated in this. It's nothing but a public relations exercise, which is largely futile. They have to talk to the Israelis if they want to achieve peace, and the distance between Ramallah and Jerusalem is less than 10 miles.
So how do you see this conflict playing out over the next several weeks, given the recent course of events?
Well, we believe that the reason why we don't have peace with the Palestinians today is the ongoing Palestinian failure to face their own opposition. So the first thing the Palestinians have to do is to break the pact they formed with Hamas, a terrorist organization.
Ambassador Aharoni, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Bloomberg Television is brought to you by New York Life and Mainstay Investments. 10 independent boutiques, one long-term perspective can help your clients keep good going.
Smart companies choose Germany. More than 99% of all companies are SMEs. SMEs that generate around 2 trillion euros in turnover annually. SMEs responsible for half of total German exports. SMEs who are world market